Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got a kind of Bible review for you today. And if you guys have spent any time on eBay looking up vintage Bibles, you've probably run across this one a couple times. Now, this Bible is known as the Nave's Topical Bible, and it handles this presentation of the Bible a little bit differently than literally every other version of the Bible out there. So I wanted to go ahead and showcase this one to you just because it's so unique. So let's go ahead and get started. The outside here has a faux leather cover. Now you'll see that there's a little kind of perimeter liner on the edge. And it is like a simulated leather there. The grain is real fine and real small, and it's kind of on a hardboard here, just kind of real stiff. So on the spine, we have Nave's Topical Bible, a digest of the Holy Scriptures, and then Southwestern, which is the company that produced the Bible. There are 5 kind of rib indications here. They're not raised or anything. They're kind of pressed down. I don't even know if you can see them in profile there, but that's all we have on the spine. On the back, you just have a continuation of that grain, that faux grain, and then it's kind of clean. Now, as far as the head and tail bands go, they were white at some point. They've yellowed over the years. And then there's a nice gilt, and this one has indexing. And if you take a look here, the indexing isn't Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It's, P, Q, R, S, T. And we'll take a look as to why that is here in a couple minutes. The gilding continues on the bottom. There's no art gilt or anything. It's just the gold color. And then you do have one purple ribbon. This is a single-sided satin ribbon, and it is nice and wide, and it's a pretty thick ribbon. This one, however, is kind of in poor condition. I have a feeling it's probably left out like in the sun or exposed to the elements because it's kind of faded here, and the end was very frayed. But a nice ribbon, I would imagine, when it was new. So I'll go ahead and open it up, and you'll see that there is a paper paste down liner here, and it does have that kind of Saffiano leather look, which is kind of that crisscross kind of pattern that some leathers used to have back in the day, and this is just kind of mimicking that. I'll show you the corner work for whatever it's worth. Not very much, to be honest. On the back, it's more of the same. And that's all it is, kind of clean otherwise. Now we'll go ahead and get into the Bible. And we have kind of a thicker page here and a second one. Then we have the title page. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and you guys can pause it if you want to read it. It's got a little bit of information there. And then on the back side of that, we have the copyright page. There's a little bit of info there. Then we have the preface. Then we have the list of abbreviations for the books of the Bible. And then the Topical Bible. Now, if you notice, normally it would say Genesis, or it would say the first book of Moses called Genesis. But that is not how this Bible is organized. Again, this Bible is very unique in the sense that it's kind of like a topical index that you would have in the back of a Bible. So you have your entries, and then you have very brief descriptions along with those entries. And then you have kind of the reference Bible verses. But the interesting part is, let me see if I can find a good example here. It doesn't do it with every single entry, but it does it with some of them. So we will go to, let's see, find a good example of it. Here, we'll do spiritual. And so we have adoption. So adoption is your main entry here, adoption. And then you have different kind of subsections under that. So you have adoption of children, and then you have spiritual adoption. And then you'll notice here that it gives you your verse reference, right? So Exodus 4:22. Let me get you in a little tighter there. Exodus 4:22. But then it goes right into the actual verse itself. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And then it'll continue there, and it gives you different references, verse references, and then it provides the verse there for you. So I'm not too sure if this Bible actually has the entirety of Scripture in it between all the different topical references, or if you kind of get a majority of them, or what the deal is. And I'm also assuming that you're not going to have every single printed verse for every single entry, right? Because otherwise it would be probably several feet thick. So I'm assuming they're probably just doing the highlights, the most important cross references and that sort of thing for each topic, because otherwise, again, it would be humongous. And that's pretty much it. That's kind of how they handle this Bible. So in certain other sections here, you have like adultery, and you can tell this whole page is all adultery. And then they have, different versions of it. So figurative adultery, and then instances of adultery. And so it breaks it down here and there based on, kind of what the entry is. And some entries are going to have more. Here's a fairly large entry on backsliders. And it just kind of works like that. So you kind of have it broken down with your bold topical, topics, I guess, your bold topics. And then you have your page numbers here at the bottom. at the center of the page, and then you kind of have the kind of the starting topics here for each column. So it's pretty interesting. It's definitely a very unique way to do the Bible, definitely a unique way to handle it. So, I don't know if I would call it a Bible per se, because I don't know if it's the entire biblical text. And I would imagine it'd be very near impossible to find like a specific verse. Again, I would probably just, I would probably just use this as maybe like a secondary source. You know what I mean? You have your primary text, and then you'd use this, or maybe just as a primary reference. You could go to this and look up a certain topic, and you would just have all of your entries right there under that one topic with the verses provided. Now, again, they don't provide the verses for each and every one, so technically, I guess still you'd have to have like a Bible next to you, so you could look up any instances where that's the case, where they don't provide the verse there with it. So I don't really have any like poetry to show you guys, because there's no real poetry or anything like that. But you can see here the tabs. Right, it's tabbed out for each letter of the alphabet. And obviously that's because it is organized by topic there, alphabetically. And then let me show you the paper. The paper is very nice. Very little show through. It didn't specify if this was Oxford paper or anything like that. India paper. But it's still a very nice paper. Very quality paper. And it is, it's not super thick, and it does have kind of a nice feel to it. It's a little rough. I prefer rougher paper, to be honest. I know certain Bible manufacturers have like a smoother paper. Cambridge is notoriously smooth for me. And it feels nice. It's all right, but like, I don't know. It always seems to be easier for me to turn rougher paper. Just me. So let's go ahead and flip through this, and we'll get to the end. I am not sure if there are any helps. It looks like there is, though. So we have the last page here with the last entry, which is Zuzims, right? And then we have the index. I'll go ahead and pull it in for you guys so you can see. Right there, there's a little explanation of how the index works, and then I'll give you a sample of the index. It is kind of funny to me that, you have an index for a topical reference Bible here. I mean, you think you could just look it up alphabetically, but, I'm sure they have their reasoning for it. Now, the index is pretty lengthy. I think that's the majority of what's back here. Now, usually these pop up on eBay fairly regularly. I see them come up very frequently, and they're not very much. Usually they go for about $5 or $10, plus shipping. So, if you're interested in something like this, you're not going to be spending a ton of money to get to it. Now, I don't know if they made a genuine leather version of this or a leather version of the cover. So that would be one thing, I guess, to keep your eye out for if you're interested in that. I think that I've only seen synthetic covers, but I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't say that with any certainty. So, looks like we get to the end of the index here. And the end of the index here. And there's your last page at 1650. And it's just a blank page. And you have two more blank, kind of thicker sheets and the end sheet there. And that is it. The end of the Nave's Topical Bible. Again, a very interesting find. So let me get you some measurements, and we'll go from there. It is about 9 1/8 tall by about 6 3/8 inch wide. And it's going to come in at just over 1.5 inches thick. Now, let's take a look at the fonts right quick. We'll start with the uppercase, actually. Go to numbers here, the end of numbers. Now, it appears to be about a 9-point font for the uppercase versus Times New Roman. And then we'll go to the M. And the M also seems to be about a 9-point font. So about a 9-point font all around, which is great for a larger full-size Bible like this. That's about the standard, so you're not going to be kind of squinting or anything like that. It's a decent-sized font to read. Again, if you have any questions, Bible buddies, on this or any of my other Bibles, please feel free to leave them down below. If you could, please like, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, Bible buddies, until next time, bye.